Virgin Atlantic resumed flights in India in October last year after a 3-year gap. The airline has been looking to take an equity position in an Indian airline if the regulations were to permit. We're now joined with the new CEO of Virgin Atlantic, Craig Kreeger, who's going to tell us about what the airline is planning to do in India, but also in the context of what the British India corridor is seeing in terms of activity, and maybe from your point of view. Craig, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. First of all, Virgin Atlantic has actually been in India throughout that time period, flying to Delhi.
Yes, to I meant to Bombay.
That's it. So we have resumed flights to Mumbai, but we think of India as our second biggest focus market beyond the other than the USA, and are thrilled to be back in Mumbai and seeing traffic grow there.
Right. So tell us about. You're new to Virgin Atlantic. You spent a long time in American. What are you seeing in terms of the global aviation market and maybe some focus on the European and British?
Well, obviously we're a British carrier, and first and foremost, we live and breathe carrying British customers and those who do business in Britain or want to visit Britain back and forth. So we care very much about the strength of the British economy, and what we're seeing is some improvement, modest, but some improvement, and it has us very confident about the future.
Right, and the recession seems to have done. The recession in Europe seems to have ended after a long time, and Britain, of course, has been looking stronger. So has this meant something more locally in terms of increased traffic or trends in traffic?
Well, it has. I think for us, we're seeing some recovery. Our company has had a couple of rough years financially, and so we've been embarked upon a couple-year plan to really move the company forward financially, while still preserving or enhancing actually the magic that Virgin Atlantic brings to our customer service, and that really is from our people. And so if you combine the good service we've had with a little bit of economic improvement around us, we're seeing some very positive trends.
Right. So let me ask you about India. So Richard Branson has been quoted on many occasions saying that he would obviously want a larger footprint in India through an equity position, which has not been possible for regulatory reasons or other reasons. How are you seeing this opportunity? Are you seeing it similarly?
Well, I think where we are as a company today as Virgin Atlantic, we're looking to see continued opportunities for growth in India. We're already interlining with Indian carriers, and we anticipate some point in time in the future that we could have a broader partnership. Given our current financial situation, we're not really looking today at an equity investment, although I certainly don't know where that will lead in the future.
Right. So, Virgin's seen a change in its joint venture status. You had Singapore Airlines, and now you have Delta coming in. Does that mean anything different from this part of the world?
Well, one thing it does is it's going to give some additional connecting opportunities to Indian customers. So both our Mumbai flight and our Delhi flight to London offer some connecting opportunities beyond. And really one of the themes of our airline as part of this ongoing recovery plan is to grow the connectivity in our network, both using our own flights and using partners. So we're seeing an awful lot of India to USA traffic today, and I think as we add our Delta relationship, that joint venture we anticipate beginning formally early next year, we anticipate that we'll see more connecting opportunities over London onto either our flights, Delta's flights, or onto ours, and then connecting to other cities in the United States.
Right. So, you've also been quoted as saying that you want to focus on the domestic market that's within Britain, and you've got Virgin Red, which is now coming up with a whole lot of new products. What are the trends that you're seeing, again, from a low-cost versus no-frill or a full-frill airline approach, which of course Virgin is known for?
Well, Virgin Atlantic Little Red is really a Virgin product. And we created a sub-brand, Little Red, to make sure that our customers would recognize that it is a domestic single-class service. But it is there primarily actually to connect the world to Scotland or the world to Manchester. Not so much for the domestic market itself between Manchester and London, or between Scotland and London. And so one of the things that we're seeing from India actually is a growing amount of traffic that's going to these other destinations in the UK. And the 3 cities we fly to with Little Red are Aberdeen, Manchester, and Edinburgh, which have some great things to offer Indian customers.
Right. So my larger question is, the whole no-frill versus full-frill argument, where does that stand today? 5 years after sort of a global meltdown, cost control, rationalization, and all of that.
Well, we're seeing actually that customers still value a good product and a good service. And one of the things that we offer that many of our competitors do not is a legitimate additional cabin, premium economy, which really is not just a couple of extra inches of legroom, it's a different seat with a different onboard product. And we're actually seeing pretty good pickup on that product here in India in particular. I think it's a competitive advantage we have, and one that demonstrates to us that customers still will value elements of service, and that really is the core that we seek to offer a new marketplace.
Right. So let me come back to India. So if you were to sort of look a couple of years ahead, what's the ideal kind of situation you would look at in terms of number of flights and number of cities and so on, assuming everything else is constant?
Well, I don't think I can give you an easy answer to that question. You know, we've recently, as you've mentioned at the beginning, re-entered Mumbai, and we think of that as a really key part of our route network. We see other growing India markets as future opportunities, and as we take new aircraft, and we have a big order of 787s coming starting in September of 2014, I think that can create some potential new opportunities. So if you combine efficient airplanes with more connections to the United States, it could open up some additional markets in India that might make sense. But at this point, we're really focused on making the two we've got successful and capitalizing on both Little Red and Delta to create more opportunities for customers from India to connect onto our network.
So do you see India playing a greater role as a hub for transferring passengers between, let's say, the West and Southeast Asia and so on?
Well, you know, I really do feel like there's an opportunity, and when I mentioned earlier in our discussion about the fact that we're using Interline as a means of connecting our services to domestic Indian services, I see that as a growing opportunity. And I think if we look forward a couple of years, I'd anticipate a sort of enhanced capability to connect customers off of our flights or off of other flights around India onto our flights, both directions, as a way of offering more Indians access to Virgin Atlantic services.
Right. So last couple of questions. What are the kind of regulatory issues that you would be looking at as a British company who has a presence in India and wants to increase it in the context of civil aviation or otherwise?
Well, I don't think you can be an airline without being concerned about charges and the expense that airports and governments impose upon our businesses. And we think that's bad for consumers because ultimately it results in higher prices. So for us, I think the high airport charges in Heathrow, in Delhi, in Mumbai, you know, the key airports that surround our services to and from India are examples of things that we're concerned about and could, over time, create less travel between our countries. And you know, first and foremost, what an airline is all about is creating connectivity between people, goods, tourism, and businesses. And when the costs of the infrastructure rise to the point where it becomes uneconomic for people to fly, that's bad for us and that's bad for the countries.
Right. Last question. I mean, you know, once I was at Heathrow Airport and I saw a Virgin aircraft which had a line which said that no way BA/AA. Right? and you obviously come with AA, and you've been asked this question before. So how do you see this transition from that world to this world?
Well, the truth of the matter is, you know, despite obviously competing with Virgin Atlantic for many years, I had a great respect for the company, and that really began as a customer. I ended up needing to be in China and needing to get there suddenly, and the only way I could do so was to buy a business class ticket on a competing company, Virgin Atlantic. And I was so struck by the enthusiasm of the Virgin Atlantic people to welcome me into the lounge and show me around, and how well I was treated on board, and the great entertainment. And it was just, you know, at the end of that flight, I was thinking, man, that is a hard company to compete with. And when the opportunity came to join it, I was really excited to do so.
Great. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Great. Thank you so much.